We just got our hands on this letter that President Biden sent to congressional Democrats as they return to Washington this week. Let me read you one of the first lines. I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running the race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump.
In this lengthy letter, 2 pages, single-spaced, President Biden lays it at the feet of the voters as his decision to stay in the race, saying that the nominating process already took place. He received 14 million votes, 87% of those votes cast. And by the number of delegates that have already been pledged to him, he is the presumptive nominee by a wide margin. He goes on to say, do we now just say that that process doesn't matter? I decline to do that. At the close of the letter, though, he says this: the question of how to move forward has been well aired for over a week now, and it's time for it to end.
President Biden says he ain't going nowhere, but he went further. It's on this watch list.
You know, you were supposed to lose in 2020. You won. There's supposed to be a huge wave in 2022. There wasn't. In 2023, Republicans were supposed to win. They didn't.
Look, Joe, let's get something clear about 20 and 24. Not only were they wrong, I said they were wrong beforehand. I said we were going to win and how we were going to win. I didn't pretend about it. It wasn't like, oh, my God, I was surprised. I was not surprised. I predicted it. I knew what we were doing, number one. Number two, you may remember, I was one of the few people out there publicly saying before the 2022 election, there will be no red wave. There will be no red wave. So, Joe, it wasn't just that it didn't happen. I was predicting beforehand it would not happen, because I've got a pretty good political instinct and eye. And here's the deal. It's not going to happen here this time around. The American public is not going to move away from me as an average voter. Come with me. Watch. Watch. I'm getting so frustrated by the elites. Now, I'm not talking about you guys, but about the elites in the party who they know so much more. But if any of these guys don't think I should run against me, go ahead, announce for president. Challenge me at the convention.
Suddenly he's like, get at me, bro. You want something? Come get it. It's obvious that this more aggressive and confident version of Biden is the energy that they hope will quiet the critics and instill some more faith in his chances. I just wonder if he should reel it in a little bit before it comes off as frustration from the Democratic infighting. It's a balance that they have to be aware of.
Mr. President, that leads to the letter that we just received a few minutes ago. And then you ask this question, do we now just say the process didn't matter, that the voters didn't have a say?
The reason I've been out on the road so much all over the country, and while Trump is riding around in his golf cart, filling out his golf cart before he even hits the ball. But anyway, he hadn't been anywhere in 10 days. I've been all over the country, number one. And I've gone over the country for several reasons. One, to make sure my instinct was right about the party still wanting me to be the nominee. And all the data shows that the average Democrat out there who voted, the 14 million of them that voted for me, still want me to be the nominee. The bottom line here is that we're not going anywhere. I am not going anywhere. I wouldn't be running if I didn't absolutely believe that I am the best candidate to beat Donald Trump in 2024.
Biden surrogate John Fetterman got the let's get angry memo too.
Here's former Representative Tim Ryan. It represents a pretty interesting piece of the Democratic coalition with blue-collar workers. Watch him here.
I'm here in Ohio, like just you can't go to a coffee shop, you can't go to a bar, you can't go to a soccer game where people aren't talking about this in a negative sense. And so that reality is there. And I think, you know, it's important to be loyal, but part of being loyal is being honest. And I think we have to be honest to each other of just how difficult of a situation this is.
Well, first, let me say that I'm not sure who really gives a what Tim Ryan thinks about the situation. You know, I know it says former, so he's not really a part of it in that conversation right now. And also in this situation, let's just focus on where we're at. It's going to be a close race here. And I'm proud to stand with Joe Biden. And I'd like to remind everybody here that Biden won, and it really was very costly for Fox, you know, after they repeated a lot of the lies that Trump had after he lost.
Senator, wow.
So John Fetterman went after both Tim Ryan and Fox News in the span of 2 minutes over the drama that continues to play out as Democratic lawmakers are returned to the Capitol, where they'll be asked the question about where they stand. They're feeling the pressure, and all the responses aren't really that glowing.
Yeah, I saw one reporter from Semaphore saying Biden's offering a murder-suicide pact. He's saying, if you try to take me out, you're going to take all of us out. And I think that is an accurate assessment of this incredible moment we're in, Jim. It does make a lot of sense, though, to have Biden working the phones, doing more interviews. This is what people were calling for a week ago. They were saying, why isn't he working the phones? Why isn't he calling into television and radio shows? Biden did sound a bit Trumpian in this most recent call. He did, by the way, also on ABC. There's an element of resentment and grievance that you and I very well recognize from the former president. And we do know that motivates some voters. It certainly is a way to fire up base voters. What it probably doesn't do, though, is change these anxious, nervous, panicked Democrat lawmakers. Whether it's going to sway them, I think that's an entirely different question.
I'm not sure that the Biden camp wanted to come off as Trumpian for calling into Morning Joe to chop it up with Mika and them about how frustrated he is with the conversations about his ability to make it. One thing is very clear, though. This is a fight that they'll be engaged in from within their own ranks, but not based on a departure of support for the party and opposition to Trump, but from a place of panic, because no one will really know if he can recover from that debate performance until Election Day. So even daytime TV is split on this issue.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. There are two debates. And if he can't do what he needs to do for the second debate, I'll join any crew that says get rid of him. But loyalty to me, if you are doing the job, I might not like everything you're doing. I don't like it all. But I'm going to stand behind you like those guys stand behind the guy who should have been the person people were talking about saying, yeah, Biden had a bad day, but this guy couldn't tell the truth if it split his lip.
I'm starting to question if Biden recognizes how big of a threat Donald Trump actually is. Because as George Stephanopoulos rightly pointed out, there's no example in modern history of somebody having Biden's approval rating, having nearly 50% of his own party saying they don't want him to be the nominee, they want someone else, and 70% of voters saying they're worried about his age, and going on 4 months later to win. I think voters felt gaslit being told that Biden is as sharp as a tack.
I will be voting for President Biden if he is on the ballot come November for all the reasons you guys so adequately spelled out. I don't think he can win up against Donald Trump as it stands right now. I just don't. And his age and frailty were always apparent to me, and they didn't concern me, probably because of who he's up against, but also because I've been more happy than not with the administration.
What you'll notice is that despite differing opinions on whether he should stay or go, Democratic voters haven't been convinced that because of his inability to dismantle Trump's lies, that suddenly MAGA's dictatorial agenda is appealing to them. It must be what they're relying on to still come away with a win, because the plan to have Biden clarify the very real danger that Donald Trump poses is still a work in progress. This is the shaky flourish that the president ended with on Morning Joe.
By the way, in case you're wondering whether there is one, have you ever seen Trump run away so fast from what he's for? You know he's going to do it anyway, but have you ever, he's such a liar. This guy everybody knows what they're planning to do. And now he's saying, no. This guy is going to rip away at a woman's right to choose in a permanent way. This guy is going to make sure that he exacts revenge. This guy's going to destroy democracy. This guy's going to give a blank check to the Supreme Court and going to use its past, the 2025 agenda. You know, this guy's extremely dangerous. But you notice he doesn't speak up for what he really is for. He's all of a sudden realizing, oh my God, nobody's for what I'm for. But anyway, look, and again, think of the things he lied about. He talked about he gave the largest tax cut in history. Yeah, he gave the largest tax cut in history to millionaires and billionaires. He said that those 10% universal tax proposal is not going to drive prices higher. Every major economist in the world is saying it's going to drive an average $2,500 per person. Only jobs we created for illegal immigrants and bounce back jobs and bounce back from COVID. Give me a break. That's what he said at the convention. Excuse me, at the debate. Everything he said. He said, he largely fixed COVID. You kidding me? And what happened? Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything except me and the folks out there in the local, race. He said, I did nothing to stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In fact, he said, I think I encouraged Russia from going. I think he encouraged Russia going in. I'm reading from a list of lies. First of all, he was made up quotes, suckers and losers. I was with it. He called the Americans in the cemeteries from World War I suckers and losers. And so this guy's going to have to start to answer for what he did. I'm not letting up, Joe. I am not letting up a little bit. And by the way, France registered, look, you talk about Europe. France rejected extremism. Democrats will reject it here as well. Trump, and this is a guy who is an extreme candidate. I can't think of a candidate in my lifetime that's been more extreme. He makes George Wallace look like a patriot.